LEGO produces a lot of amazing sets, but sometimes, just sometimes, LEGO gets it very wrong. Today we'll be looking at the most hated LEGO sets. Perhaps the most universally disliked set among LEGO fans is the Hulkbuster. In the Avengers Age of Ultron, the on-screen Hulkbuster is as sleek as it is massive, and LEGO and Marvel fans alike were very excited when this set was announced, but then they saw the pictures. Now, as you can imagine, with over 4,000 pieces and standing at an impressive 19 inches tall, this set should be able to perfectly capture all the details of the movie, but alas, prepared to be disappointed. The set we got is, to be perfectly blunt, just not good. There's just so much wrong with this set that it's honestly hard to know where to start. The thing that sticks out to me the most, though, is the shoulders. The angle, size, and shape are just so far off from the movie that it's hard to even call them the same version. The exposed ball joints are also such a disappointment, especially when sets like the Mighty Bowser, which was released around the same time, managed to hide them so well. The ankles here also have the same issue, they're just too skinny. Did anyone ever tell Tony the importance of not skipping leg day? Now, the chest actually has the opposite problem though. It's too bulky and the scale is all wrong. So what happened? Why did LEGO get so much of this build so wrong? Well, it comes down to a bold choice that just did not pay off in the slightest. It seems like this set actually has a somewhat hidden feature that's not really mentioned on the box and only shows up in one of the official promotional images. As it turns out, this set is fully compatible with the Iron Man figure LEGO set. Open up the shoulders and the smaller set kind of just slides right in. This is admittedly a really cool idea and a fairly unique trick for a LEGO set, but the execution backfired tremendously. By forcing the designers to accommodate the Iron Man buildable figure, LEGO ended up releasing a set that simply failed to live up to expectations. The need to leave so much empty space internally really skewed the dimensions of every part of this build. Now, credit where credit is due, this was an ambitious idea, and I always genuinely appreciate it when LEGO tries something new and bold like this. However, I do question whether a flagship set selling for $550 is the best place for such an experiment. I mean, was the buildable Iron Man figure even that popular? The short answer is no. No, it was not. Speaking of which, LEGO's entire line of constructible figures over the years has had a long and colorful past. These sets have never really particularly sold well for any theme, and many of them are among the lowest rated sets ever released, such as the Legends of Chima Chi Vardi set. But among all of these truly terrible sets, there's one that just stands far above, or I guess I should say far below the rest. The LEGO Star Wars Sergeant Jyn Erso set is perhaps the least in-demand set in LEGO's recent history. Released in 2016, this set just doesn't seem to ever disappear. Despite being officially retired at the end of 2017, this set just doesn't die. Somehow people still frequently find this set on store shelves years later. Let's face it, absolutely no one wants to buy this set, even now. What's more is that these sets for some reason just never seem to be discounted, and many other figures regularly see discounts of up to 80% off the really bad ones, but apparently not Sergeant Erso. So what makes this such an unwanted set? Well, aside from the fact that this entire line of Star Wars figures was pretty much a major flop, this particular set was by far the most poorly received and the least interesting of the wave. One of the biggest complaints about this set was the incredibly bland color palette, and I can't say I disagree. The face is also right in the middle of an uncanny valley, but that's a problem shared by the entire line, not to mention the prices. However, as bad as many of these figures are though, they're nowhere near the worst that LEGO has ever put out. I've talked about Galador here before, but it's never been more relevant than now. If you don't know or don't remember, Galador was a short-lived, doomed from the start LEGO theme from 2002, based on the sci-fi kids show called Galador: Defenders of the Outer Dimension. Back in the late 1990s, LEGO was seriously struggling as a company and was desperately looking for new markets. Someone had the brilliant idea of making a TV show with a toy tie-in to sell a new line of LEGO figures. I mean, it worked for G.I. Joe and Transformers in the 80s, so why not? How bad could it be? Well, as anyone who's ever seen an episode of this show can tell you, and also seen the sets, the answer is pretty bad. Without going into too much detail, the show followed a kid named Nick Bluetooth. Yes, really. He was transported to the outer dimension to stop the evil Gorm from conquering it. Anyway, I'm not here to critique a 20-year-old TV show, I'm here to critique some 20-year-old toys. And oh man, there's a lot to talk about. Let's start with Nick himself. Believe it or not, that's an actual LEGO set. Specifically, it's set 4040, simply titled Nick. Now, this particular set was released as a Happy Meal toy at McDonald's in the United States, and was just one in an entire line. But there were more mainstream retail versions as well. Excluding the McDonald's toys, LEGO released a total of 9 Galador sets, one for each of the show's main characters. But once again, these constructible figures just fell flat. So the entire idea of this line was that each figure could be broken down into 10 to 12 parts, and then remixed and rematched in a number of ways. Very on brand for LEGO, but so many of the parts were just boring and didn't make sense. Look at Nick and his sidekick Allegra, for example. These are just so bland, especially for a show about alien monsters, and they just don't look like LEGO at all, because they kinda aren't. Also, I just have to point out Allegra's pet. Does anyone remember what exactly this pet was? Let me know in the comments if you watched this show. Even the bad guy though, Gorm Deluxe, is mostly just plain black pieces. In fairness, Uni is pretty cool, but that's just not enough to save this disaster of a line. As a final fun fact though, one of the Galador sets, the TDN module, or egg ship as it was often called in the show, is actually the single heaviest LEGO piece ever released in a set, because it was just basically a huge piece of plastic. Luckily the show and sets were only with us for less than a year, but the pain will last a lifetime. While some entire lines are disasters, even the most beloved themes can let fans down. That was sadly the case with the Ninjago 10th Anniversary Brickhead set. Now, don't get me wrong, Nia and Lloyd are fantastic and make great additions to any collection, but the dragon was a disappointment. This isn't the first 4-legged Brickheads figure, but it is the first to be standing on all fours. This gives it a weird proportion that simply looks a little off compared to the rest of the line. The hinged wings just add to this problem, making the model much wider than the others. Plus, this firstborn dragon just has a terrible underbite that just doesn't look that good. Overall, this set certainly isn't hated per se, but it's just one of the biggest letdowns in an otherwise well-loved series. However, this isn't the only Ninjago set that kind of failed to take off though. You see, the Ninjago Dragon Masters was another take on a flying, spinning toy for Ninjago, which really took a lot of inspiration from the Air Jitsu Flyers. However, these were a far cry from the original. The wing attachments and large plastic gear wheel made this module far too heavy to really go any distance. The Flyers didn't really fly well at all. The only redeeming feature was the exclusive Ninja minifigures. Now, while most of the sets I've talked about are of larger commercial releases, LEGO is constantly putting out smaller promotional sets for all kinds of events. While some of these become true collectibles, most are quickly forgotten about, but some will certainly live on forever as examples of truly terrible LEGO sets. That's the case with the bottle case and signboard sets that were both promotional sets for the 2002 World Cup in Japan. The second one is, well, quite possibly the laziest design I've ever seen in a LEGO set. It's literally 3 pieces that make a flat white board. The bottle case is equally boring, but at least it's got one good thing going for it. It's the only set ever to feature this container piece in red. Today, this little polybag can be found pretty easily, but you'll need to pay about $15, a pretty high price for what's inside. But luckily for you, there's a much better deal: subscribing to my channel. It's completely free and filled with LEGO videos for you to watch, so take a couple seconds right now to click subscribe. Now, there are a couple LEGO cars that would grind anyone's gears. This LEGO police car set is technically exactly as advertised, with 23 pieces, 4 wheels, a printed police panel, and a minifigure. This build might get more hate than it deserves. I mean, there's nothing necessarily wrong with it, it's just such a lackluster build though. In its defense, it was released in 1991 for just a few bucks. You see, ever since the first Speed Champion sets rolled off the line in 2015, LEGO's car models have been truly amazing, with dozens of the world's most famous cars faithfully recreated. But it's easy to forget that this wasn't always the case. In 2002, LEGO put out this Audi TT Roadster, and yeah, people were not thrilled. This set was given away to celebrate the opening of Legoland Germany. But even being a free gift can't save this set from the wrath of fans. For starters, this build is a poor, almost disrespectful representation of the Audi TT. But even if you're not into cars and you're just here for the LEGO, you'll still be disappointed, because bizarrely, this set didn't come with instructions. Yeah, I'm serious. You just kinda had to figure it out based on a single picture. However, while putting this 57-piece set together, people quickly realized that something was wrong. Very wrong. While putting the chrome Technic pieces in place, it quickly became apparent that they didn't really fit. In fact, some were actually breaking. Turns out that this set had an illegal building technique that was forcing pieces into unnatural positions. In fact, this model was so bad that LEGO had to change the entire way they design sets. As a direct result of this set in particular, all models now produced by the LEGO Group must go through the design department, even every small polybag. This ensures that nothing gets released without first being approved by a model committee. Sometimes lasting up to 2 or 3 days, this review allows representatives that create the building instructions, as well as the senior designers and engineers, to sit down together and build the model to make sure that only the best is good enough. However, even nowadays, there are still sets with illegal building techniques, and if you want to see them, click on this video. And also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I think you'll really enjoy my next video.